to Jets Overtime. Eric Allen and Quincy Enunwa here at MetLife Stadium. The Jets fall to 3-8 on the year with a 28-27 loss to the Indianapolis Colts. We're going to get to interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich in a second. But your thoughts, the Jets unable to close the door in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a back-and-forth affair. The Jets really couldn't get started in the beginning, and then towards the end, they really started to figure it out. But then the Colts also were still driving and making good plays. Anthony Richardson had a hell of a game.
So much to get to, but let's go right now to the podium. Here's Jets interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich.
Coach, obviously that last defensive drive, Anthony Richardson able to drop that ball into that little hole there. Just talk about the coverage situation in that scenario.
Yeah, we gotta execute better, and obviously I got to get him into a better call in those situations. I was confident that the defense was going to get the stop. That's why I opted to kick the field goal there and not go for it. But in hindsight, I probably should have gone for it because we didn't stop him, obviously.
What happened on those last two possessions? It seems like you guys got the momentum with points, and then it was touchdown Colts. You guys get the momentum with touchdown Colts.
Yeah, just lack of execution. And I probably should have gotten to a better call. I'll take a hard look at this tape and see what I could have done better as far as getting them in a better position to be successful there. But just didn't get it done in a critical moment. You got to be at your best in those moments, and we weren't.
What was wrong with on the long pass to Pierce? Why are you second guessing the call?
I always point the finger at myself first. I think that's the best way to do it. And believe me, there's accountability from a player standpoint too, and we'll take a hard look at that as well. So, but I always look at all the factors. The exact call, the best call, and then the best execution too. So all those things go into it.
Jeff, with 8 losses now, where is this team at this season?
Angry, frustrated, not in a good place from that standpoint. Obviously, guys are working their butts off, and obviously there's an element that something's missing, whether it be in the preparation and the game planning and the execution, or if it's a little bit of all those things. It's a good time for a bye to really not necessarily take a break, but really reassess where we're at and what we do best going forward, what we're not doing well, we need to get fixed, and take a hard look at ourselves.
So how much is the offense being hurt by Aaron not being willing to throw the ball down the field?
We'll take a hard look at the tape. There's an element to, of course, injury is going to hamper anybody in these type of situations, but it never comes down to one man. It comes down to protection, receivers, running backs, the running game, all those things. So. I know Aaron would love to be playing better, but it's not just him; it's all of us.
Jeff, was there in the first half that you guys couldn't? Wasn't until your last drive that you moved the ball.
We'll take a hard look at the tape and see exactly what it was.
Was there any thought at all on the 4th and 2 where you guys kept the ball and then you took a timeout? Was there any thought at all to just take the delay game, back it up 5, and kick from there to preserve that timeout?
Yeah, I wanted to give the kicker the best opportunity he could to make that kick. Didn't want to push him back any farther than that.
Jeff, since you've taken over, running the whole show here, the defense has gone backward. What do you have an explanation for that? Are you spread too thin? It hasn't been the same since.
Yeah, we need to be better. We need to be better, and this bye week will allow me an opportunity to really take a hard look at myself and take a hard look at everything that we're doing, not just defensively, but everything.
You mentioned anger and frustration. Just kind of what's your message now at 3-8 and, with 6 games remaining?
True strength is demonstrated in these moments where adversity really hits, and it's hitting us. From a football perspective, there's, this is probably one of the higher level of adversity that you'll ever face. So it's an opportunity to not let your situation define who you are, and show the world exactly who you are in these really tough moments. Show your teammates who you are in these really tough moments, and ultimately, like that brand of football that we play, regardless of the situation, regardless of the implications. That's who we are. So, there's still a lot of pride in that locker room, and guys are going to still fight. I know that.
Jets fans, a limited number of single-game tickets are available to see the Green and White take on the Seattle Seahawks, presented by Avery Dennison at MetLife Stadium on Sunday, December 1st at 1 p.m. Lock in your seats now at nyjets.com/tickets. You are watching Jets Overtime, presented by SiriusXM. Eric Allen and Quincy Enunwa here at MetLife Stadium. Before we get into the film, Quincy, I just wanted to get your thoughts on interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich's comments. He said, we're angry, we're frustrated, this is a good time for a bye, not to take a break, to reassess where we are with everything.
Yeah, I mean, the late bye is tough. You know, I think that it would have been better to be able to assess probably earlier in the season. But at this point now, you got to figure out what you can do next, because this season has not been going the way you wanted to. And this game absolutely did not go the way they wanted it to.
Yeah, certainly not. But the Jets actually were down in this game 13-0. And then Breece Hall took over late in the second quarter. Early in the third quarter. Let's get into our film right now. We are presented by Microsoft. Q.
Yeah, so, you know, I love breaking down Breece Hall film because he's a dynamic player, dynamic back. On these two plays here, this first one here is a great play by Breece Hall. I'm just going to let it run just so you can kind of see the dynamic ability of Breece Hall. I'm going to use this word so many times because it's my favorite word to say about this guy. He can catch the ball at the backfield, and he can run it really well. Here we go. So now I'm going to let you guys see it from the all-22, right? So you got Breece Hall in the backfield. This is a pass play, third down. You need a big play here. You have Tyler Conklin at the top right here just in case you need a safety valve, but he can't get to him quick enough. But thankfully, this is your real safety valve right here. Breece Hall coming out the backfield, square it up, give me the ball, let me do what I do. Receivers blocking downfield is always what you need, and I'm going to show it in the next play as well. But, man, great job by him getting open and showing your numbers for your quarterback. On this play here, look at this. We got the motion right here that allows the linebackers to bump over. Now you're out of position, right? Now we can get on the edge. Look at Xavier Gibson making a play on the end, right? Big play by him. And then, of course, it's always about that downfield blocking. That's going to help you make these big plays. It's something that they need to continue to do, but it just helps Breece Hall make the plays that he does.
Breece Hall today, 16 carries, 78 yards. He got into the end zone right there on the ground over the pylon. He also had 7 catches, 43 yards receiving, and a touchdown. Davante Adams, his target to reception rate was up there today. But what did the Colts do to take Garrett Wilson kind of out of the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think the hardest thing about Garrett Wilson is he plays the X in this offense. And so a lot of that is your quick throws, right? So your slants, your hitches, all those different routes that they love to throw on that backside. They knew that they were going there, and so they jumped those routes. There was one play where he threw the hitch, and the DB came and almost made a pick, right? They tried to put him in the slot a little bit, but Davante was really the guy that was making those plays in the slot for them. It's tough. When you can't get Garrett Wilson going, somebody else has to kind of pick up the slack, and they didn't have that.
Today, Davante Adams, 6 catches, 72 yards, and Garrett Wilson had held to 4 catches for just 18 yards. I don't know where to start. Should we start at the beginning? Should we start at the end? We just heard Jeff Ulbrich talk about that situation late in the game. The Jets have a 24-22 lead there inside the red zone. It is 4th and 2. Myself and Q are watching this game upstairs. Your initial thought was go for it. I said, I don't know if you can go for it because if you don't get it there, a field goal beats you.
Of course, but I think I had so much confidence in the defense, and also it's just one of those things. In Madden, I would have done it. So I'm like, hey, while I'm playing, you guys got to do this, right? But I think ultimately you got to have confidence in your defense and confidence in your offense. And at that point, they were running the ball pretty well. You got to give you guys an opportunity. One thing I wish they would change up is that on 3rd and 2 and even 4th and 1, they're not giving the running backs the ball. They're not giving them an opportunity to make the plays for you, right? You have the 4th and 1 play. You give it to Conklin for a QB sneak. They've already ran that play during the season. So that's something that defenses are always watching. They keep that in their playbook to know, like, this is something they do on 4th down. So I think they should have gone for it. It would have given them a better opportunity. And then, you know, it's harder to make that 70-yard drive.
Okay, so much to unpack here. A slow start for the Jets offense. Slow finish for the Jets defense. Jamien Sherwood set up that second Breece Hall score with a strip sack there at the beginning of the third quarter. Our own Caroline Hendershot caught up with the Jets linebacker after this game.
Here with Jamien Sherwood. Jamien, what did you think of the overall performance today? I know not the end result you guys wanted, but what did you think of it overall?
You know, with the type of record we have, you know, most people I feel like would have quit. You know, they were up 13-0 at one point. So I want to give credit to all my teammates, even though you just said we didn't finish strong, but, you know, we fought. We kept swinging the whole way through. You know, it was up and down. You know, they were up, we were up, they were up again, we were up. Again, just my teammates just trying their best to fight to the end. And that's all you can ask for out of these in these types of moments. You know, again, with our record, you know, a lot of teams would have just gave up, or a lot of people, you know. I know the character of that locker room, and even though we didn't get the end result, you know, we're still going to stick together, and, you know, we're just going to keep swinging, keep fighting.
What, from your perspective, happened on that last drive where the Colts had possession?
Just simple execution. You know, like I just said over there, you know, you got to rely on your technique. You got to rely on your fundamentals. You know, at the end of the day, you've been doing this since a little kid, and what it is just playing football. You got to go out there, play football, And in those 2-minute moments, in those critical moments, you got to be at your best when your best is required. And, you know, we have the men in that room to do it. And, you know, we just weren't able to do it, sadly. But, again, like, we still fought hard, and, we just got to finish those games out.
You guys have the bye week coming up. How do you expect that to benefit the team and maybe kind of relieve the players in a sense?
I feel like if you want to change the outcomes and like what's been going on, you're going to take that time to reevaluate, to analyze yourself, to analyze how you can do better within the defense, offense, special teams, how you can do better for this team in general. I want to turn it around, and I know every guy in there wants to turn around. So everything I just said is something that I'm going to take a deep dive into, so I can just be better. There was plays out there that I could have been better, so I wouldn't even just blame it on the last drive. There was plays in the first half that I could have did better. And, at the end of the day, as a Mike backer, I'm always going to point the finger at myself where could I have been better. So again, in this bye week, just working on my communication skills better, tackling, and just everything all in general, just so we can turn it around.
Awesome. Appreciate the time, Jamien.
Thank you.
The Jets and New Jersey Lottery are giving 5 lucky fans a chance to have the ultimate game day experience for the Rams vs. Jets game on December 22nd. Text Lottery to 26154 to be entered for the chance to win 2 tickets to the game and $50 worth of scratch-offs. 3 grand prize winners will also receive an on-the-field experience for 2 terms and conditions do apply. The Jets fall to 3-8 with a 28-27 loss to the Colts. Conversely, the Colts get their first win in 4 games. They are 5-6 on the year. Let's go back to the end before we get to the beginning. So at 24-16, things are looking good. Aaron Rodgers throws a touchdown pass to Kenny Yeboah. But the Colts come right down the field. Josh Downs gets a touchdown. It's 24-22. And both offenses were kind of in a groove late. So the Jets moved down the field. We talked about the field goal. 27-22. If you're the Jets defense, that's the position you want to be in. That's the same exact position you were in a couple weeks ago against the New England Patriots as we look at the scoring summary. And Anthony Richardson, who had been benched the previous 2 games, gets it done.
Yeah, I mean, the Jets have shown that they're more of a second-half team, and they really show that today. And I think the most unfortunate thing about this whole thing is that you have Breece Hall having over 100 all-purpose yards, and then you also have your most points scored all season, right? So I think going into this game, one of my things was this team has not scored 25 points all season, and in the time that you do it, you end up losing in the final seconds. So it's just hard. Like, I know they're going to go back in the play in they're going to go back in the film and say, okay, like, this is what we can do differently. This is what we can do differently. But it's just so hard to pinpoint on what exactly is going wrong.
All right, you ready for grades?
Yeah, I think
okay, here we go. Let's go offense. You start us off.
Yeah, offense, I went with a C-. There were some good things. That second to last drive, I really liked it. They had some play-action passes that were making some good plays. You had Devontae Adams. You had Kenny Yeboah for the touchdown. I think one thing I wish that kind of is hard about this offense is that the big plays come from small throws. They come from small plays. Like, guys have to be playmakers. You have to be a playmaker in this offense because it's not one that's going to skill you open. It's not going to route you open, right? You have to make the plays yourself, and that's hard. Ultimately, like, the defense can scheme that up so easy. If I don't have to read any motions, I don't have to read any shifts, I don't have to read any formations, it's really, really easy for me to cover this offense.
C- for me as well. The Jets ended up with 27 points this afternoon against the Colts. One of those touchdowns from Breece Hall early in the third quarter came courtesy of a takeaway. That's when the Jets were playing complementary football, but again, we didn't see enough of that today against the Colts. We're watching some highlights right here of Aaron Rodgers, who made a couple plays with his legs today, especially in that drive. We were watching the Breece Hall touchdown again, especially on that drive late that ended up with Carlson kicking the field goal, the 4th and 2 decision by Jeff Ulbrich to go with the kick. Breece Hall, again, a big day as far as yards from scrimmage. Olu Fashanu was first start at left tackle. We're going to have to look at the film because I think it's way too early to, when you're watching a game in live time to talk about what exactly you saw from a player.
Absolutely.
You got to go back in all 22.
Absolutely. Even when you're here and you're able to see it, it's still tough. I can't rewind, right?
How about defense?
Defensively, I gave them a C. I think for me, C+. I think for me, the biggest thing for them was that they just didn't hold up in the end, right? There were some plays that they left out there. I think that going into the second half, they played really well. They had the sack fumble. They had a few great things that kind of built a lot of momentum for the offense. It was complimentary. But then towards the end of the game, those 2 last drives, 70-yard drives, you've given up for touchdowns. It makes it really challenging for me to give you anything better than a C+.
I actually went with a C+ as well, I believe. They had the takeaway. The defense had the takeaway there at the end of the second quarter. But, again, you got an opportunity to close late. And Anthony Richardson leads back-to-back 70-yard drives to close this game. So the Jets unable to finish. I thought Quinnen Williams had a really good job, had a very good game. And the Jets did a great job against Jonathan Taylor. You could tell that tackling was the priority this week. He had 24 carries for 57 yards. Unfortunately, that's going to get lost in this because Anthony Richardson, the second-year quarterback making his 11th career start, he was 20-30 for 272 yards with the touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, he played a really great game. There was a lot of good throws he was making. His receivers are coming up big for him. But one thing about it was they're not only were they doing shifts, you saw a lot of shifts, you saw a lot of motions, but then they were making the reads easy for him. He had a nice, easy read, and he was hitting the guys right in the zone, right behind the linebackers. He would play action. The linebackers would suck up, and then he would just throw right behind him.
All right, how about special teams?
Special teams, I gave him an A, I think. Special
right.
teams was really good. I mean, you come in as a young guy, 58-yard kick. You made all your extra points, right? I think that's an impressive day for him. Ultimately, I think I would love to see more from the punt return team. We need to get something going there, generated. But otherwise, a good special teams day.
They gave up a couple returns.
Yes.
That was the only knock. So I believe I went with a B-, but
I can see that.
Anders Carlson, how about that? 58-yarder. That's a career long for him. Look at this one.
Yeah.
Just got in by a couple inches.
Man.
Hell of a kick.
And that's not easy, man. There's a lot of pressure on you there.
And that's a practice squad elevation. That's the 4th kicker in 4 different weeks. Not ideal, but he handled himself quite well. Yeah. I just thought the coverage units could have been better today.
No, I agree. I think not only on the punt return team, like I said, but also like the punt team, Downs had a few good returns.
All right, so I'm told we're going back inside the Jets locker room, and I think this is Caroline.
Here with Anders Carlson. Anders, what was the message from Coach Ulbrich at the end of today's game?
Just stay together. When you have a tough loss like this, it can be really tough, and you can look at a certain few plays, but I think, everyone has a role, and so just stand together, focus on yourself, what you can improve, and, our team fought, so that's a bright side for sure.
What did you think of the overall performance? It felt like something changed at halftime, and the team came back with a different kind of energy.
Yeah, I was just talking about football is a momentum game, and you get a few plays or maybe even a deep field goal every once in a while can help the game and propel guys forward, so I think just building momentum as this bye week, ends next week,
What has this week been like for you? Because it was, I'm sure, one of the crazier ones you've experienced.
Yeah. It was good maybe to come in. I came in Thursday, so I had more than a week. But, just building chemistry with those guys. And these are 2 of the best in the league. They got a lot of experience, and they've helped me out a lot. And so just relying on those guys, building reps, and just getting to know guys, too, is a lot of fun. So it's a good bunch of teammates.
Your longest was 55 coming into this game, right? When you were lined up for the 58-yard field goal, what was going through your mind?
Yeah, we were close to that in pregame, so I knew if I just hit a good ball, it should do its job. And so, just kicking is all about staying in the zone and trusting your tendencies. And so I went up and hit the ball the best I could, and it slipped in. So
awesome. Appreciate the time, Anders.
Thank you very much.
Introducing Jets Uncorked, a premium cab wine and the ultimate collector's item for every fan. Elevate your tailgate with the perfect edition at nyjets.com/wine. Bleed green, drink red. The New York Jets are 3-8. The Indianapolis Colts move to 5-6. They snapped their 3-game losing streak. Unfortunately for the green and white, a slow start offensively and a slow finish defensively. And that's been kind of the entire story of the season for the Jets. Just hasn't been there for 60 minutes.
Yeah, not complimentary. I think that's something we're going to continue to talk about because that's the most important thing about football. You got to play well in all three phases, and you can't just be one phase playing well in one quarter and then the other one in another quarter. It's got to be the total game, and they just have not been able to figure that out.
Aaron Rodgers today, 22 of 29 for 184 yards with 2 touchdowns. He's at the podium right now.
Aaron, can you just take us through that final drive for you guys, specifically the first and second down play, the one behind the line and then the pass to Brees?
Yeah, not a very good play. I was getting rushed. Knew Conk was out there somewhere. I was trying to throw it forward. I don't know if I got hit or it just didn't come off right. I was trying to throw an incompletion. Pretty bad play.
The 5 opening series without a first down, what were some of the issues that were factoring into the slow start?
Yeah, I mean, I think a little bit of everything for us. Execution, I missed a couple throws. We had a couple MAs. So a little bit of everything.
Aaron, what are the emotions right now at 3-8?
Yeah, disappointed. Disappointed.
How do you stay motivated going forward?
I'm in my 20th year, so I've figured out a way to do this for a long time. So I just gotta remember why you fell in love with this game. This will be definitely a week to clear all of our heads and come back and stick together.
I know we've talked about the lack of deep throws a decent amount the last couple weeks or so. I think it was, again today, just the one to Xavier on third down was beyond 15 yards or so. I mean, are teams doing anything to take it away from you? I mean, why is that lacking in the offense?
They played cover 2 most of the game. So there's 2 safeties in the middle and the Mike run down the middle. So you got to be patient.
Would you have liked to go for it on that last 4th down?
Yeah, but I mean, Brick felt good about Anders kicking it and defense stopping it. So, but yeah, of course, I felt like we need to get to 30. Just beginning of the game. Now, obviously, the way we played, still need to get to 30 to win. But yeah, if we were a great team, we would have scored 7 there.
There were a couple of good plays where you had success running for it. Is that something you do or would like to continue doing, or how'd you feel about it?
I felt healthy for the first time in a while. So I extended a couple plays here and there, but not exactly a major threat out there.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's good.
Just to clarify what you just said, you said if we were a great team, we would have scored 7 there. Is that a question of the decision to kick the field goal, or could you maybe elaborate?
No. I mean, if you look at what we did there, we just made some mistakes there that stopped the drive. We had a negative yards play and didn't convert the keeper there, and then we called the screen. Like if we convert those plays the way we know we're capable of converting, that's what I mean. It's all of us. No, I trust Brick implicitly, and Anders kicked really well today. But I wish we could have not given him the decision, just scored 7.
Obviously, a very disappointed Aaron Rodgers as the green and white fall to 3-8 with a 28-27 loss to the Indianapolis Colts here at MetLife Stadium. Here is their upcoming schedule after the bye. That's how the season's going to close out. You have a home date with the Seattle Seahawks, followed by 2 games in Florida. First starting with the Dolphins, then you'll see the Jacksonville Jaguars before coming home and facing the LA Rams. That's the next quartet of games. But Quincy, right now for Jeff Ulbrich and his staff, they really got to self-scout and figure out how they're going to approach this thing moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest here, I think the offense is really missing Allen Lazard. And it's interesting to think about because you probably wouldn't have expected that going into the season. But this guy is still the number 2 receiver after missing 3 games. Nobody else has caught up to him. And you have Devontae Adams kind of playing out of position. He's a guy that's now doing a lot of blocking, and a lot of times he's in the run game and not always making the plays that need to be made. So it's not just on him, right? It's everybody involved. But I think with Allen Lazard in, this is a guy that can make plays down the field. And and we saw that for them. So 3 receivers like that know the offense is very helpful for this offense.
So bottom line today, the Jets had 253 yards of offense.
Yeah.
Now, the 27 points is a season high,
right?
But again, you're not getting that many yards there.
Yeah, exactly. And you're not getting down the field. So, like I said, Allen Lazard was a guy that was stretching the field for them. So, I think somebody has to step up, right? Like when I played, the 2 receivers, if they were doubled, if they weren't making the plays, the third guy had to make that play. I ended up being that guy 1 year. Somebody has to do that in order for them to finish the season at least looking like a competent offense.
Yeah, before we get out of here, the first 5 possessions for the Jets, 4 3-and-outs, turn the ball over on downs in your own territory.
Right.
Then you take control of this game because the defense kind of keeps the Colts at bay. It's 24-16. And they make the plays down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, pretty resilient from them because you had those fumbles that really would knock most teams out. A bad team is going to have that fumble and be like, oh, man, we're not going to get back in. But, Anthony Richardson led them to 2 straight drives. And, he's a guy that wanted to fight after being benched.
Well, for Quincy Enunwa and a cast of thousands, you're seeing people celebrate in the end zone behind me. Unfortunately, not much for the Jets to celebrate here today. They fall to 3-8 with a 28-27 loss to the Colts. We're signing off.